Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Nigeria has been boiling in a mini socio-political cauldron since the conclusion of the 2019 general election. Public discontent and expression of anger over certain government actions or inactions, and most recently the hashtag #RevolutionNow movement, are just a few examples of restive situations which have added a new dimension to the wider insecurity issues tugging at the very heart of what holds Nigeria together. For each protest and riot, as the case may be, journalists have always been in the middle, as their professional duty calls, at the perpetual risk of losing lives and limbs. For a chat about this, we're now being joined by Lere Olayinka, a professional journalist who served as special advisor on public communication and new media to former Ekiti State Governor Fayose. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Lere, you're welcome. Good to see you. Well, before we get into the plight of journalists and the protests in Nigeria, let's do some debriefing. You know, you were a spokesperson to Governor Fayose when he was governor in Ekiti State, and you were very active. You know, I must commend you. But what were the challenges you faced? One, in terms of managing perception. Two, in terms of managing our colleagues. You know, and then, of course, when you look back, you know, are there things you would have done differently? Would you have been less partisan? You know, because it's like you were quite partisan.
Let me start from the last statement. We would have been less partisan. Of course, I could not have been less partisan because I was a media manager for a politician, a governor, and I'm also a member of PDP. So I am a political journalist. Let me put it that way. I'm no longer in the league of journalists that you thought that you want to begin to preach objectivity to. Even though I know that also is not is subjective in some aspects in journalism. So I'm not someone that you preach objectivity to. I can never, even now, I can't be objective. I am a partisan person. I am interested in PDP. I'm a PDP member. I joined Governor Fayose as somebody who had also worked with a governor before in the state. So I was I was part of the media team of Segun when he was governor of the state. So I joined as somebody who has some level of experience in managing media for politicians. And I was also with now Senator Aide when he was minister. So I did not join Fayose as a novice, somebody. So the job was easy for me. Controversial, as some people will say, but that person, Fayose, is somebody that any journalist would love to work with because he is somebody who makes the job of his media manager so easy. He does most of the things even by himself. So he makes his job easy. He's not somebody that will say, okay, why do even when you go out of your way to do what he did not ask you to do, he is not that kind of person that will now come to the open and say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? What did you do? So up till now, I still work with him. I was with him till like 2 a.m. today. So we are still together. We still work together and all that. So the relationship was so perfect. I enjoyed the job, and I'm still enjoying working with him.
Yeah, but we noticed that Governor Fayose has been much calmer these days. He's also been quieter. Will you say that the federal government has been able to cow him?
No. He hasn't been quiet. He hasn't. You see, there are different approach to issue. Before, we were talking about going into an election. He was governor. An election has been done. Somebody has been declared winner, whether rightly or wrongly. Our party is challenging that the election result at the tribunal, and we are waiting for what the tribunal will say. A lot of things now that anybody will say will be like you are preempting the court. That is one. Two, the man is out of office. He's facing cases here and there. He also has his personal life to live now. more than when he was governor. But let me tell you, if you follow him on Twitter, you know that he has not been silent. He has been talking on issues when he should talk. And he has sort of also, he's sort of, okay, let me leave me, to do a lot of talking. Because I have been talking. If you follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere, I have been talking. So, Yoruba will say, Erin Kifon. It is now like Erin has now said, okay, my child, be the one to speak more now. And that is the arrangement. He's somebody that cannot be cowed. Let me say it again. The last time I was here, I said it, and I want to say it again. The man said when he was governor, when he had immunity, he said, when I leave office on October 15, by 1 a.m., I will come to EFCC office to answer questions. And before that 1 a.m. on October 16, he was there.
In his T-shirt?
In his T-shirt, he was there. And I did challenge other Nigerians, especially our friends on the other side. Because now we have a situation whereby somebody was the one prosecuting somebody. Keyamo was the one prosecuting Akpabio for alleged fraud then. Keyamo is now a junior minister and Akpabio is now a senior minister. And they will tell us that they are fighting corruption. I don't want to go there, I don't want to do it. But I did challenge them then that they should, rather than go running around, the other time the chairman of APC was accused of corruption, somebody had to go to court to compel EFCC to investigate him. Adam Osho Omole had to go to court to say, oh, EFCC, don't investigate me. And I said, people should be honorable enough. When they say you are a thief, you should be honorable enough to come out to say, I am not a thief. Come and show to me why you claim that I am a thief. Because we have EFCC today, we just say, okay, EFCC will arrest people now in Nigeria, and they will now expect you to provide information for which they are going to prosecute you. We had the issue of FBI releasing 88 names of Nigeria, 88 names of Nigeria. We didn't hear noise. We didn't hear noise from FBI all along. They were doing their investigation so diligently, quietly, until they had enough evidence to come out that we have been able to establish case against these people. And that is how I believe that Nigerians should run. So Fayose cannot be cowed. He has not been cowed. He will never, ever be cowed. He's a PDP person. I've heard stories of he has gone to somebody to negotiate, and he's a PDP person, and that is how he's going to remain.
So let's talk now about the perils of practicing journalism in Nigeria. The #Revolution Now protest took place. Some journalists were arrested and they were charged with breach of peace and unlawful assembly. The spokesman for the police, Frank Imba, said that they were part of the protesters. What is your comment on all this?
Well, let me first say that I am not I'm not among Nigerians that supported that are in support of that their revolution now. I never support, and I will never support it. The reason is simple. When you bring ant-infested wood to your house, you should be ready to bear the consequences. Our brother Sowore,
paraphrasing
Chinua Achebe, our friend Sowore was among those who brought this Buhari as a president. Even when Sowore was contesting as a candidate during the last election, he was attacking Atiku. He treated Atiku as if Atiku was the person was the sitting president. So if now Sowore choose to ride on the back of a tiger, after riding on the back of that tiger, the man can't say he won't come down. He has become the breakfast of that tiger. That is his problem. But let me say this: in this country today, nobody is safe. Nobody is protected. As a journalist, we are not protected. Even leaving your house to go out, we are not protected. So if we were not going to come out and begin to single out journalists, you want to protest and whatever. The question is, must there be issues about protest? Because protest is a right. You have right to show that you don't like, even in my house, in your house, your children, they have right to show to their parent that when the child say, daddy, it's a protest. The protest can take any form. So why should we have situation whereby guns, live bullets are being used during protest? So we should first ask our police people. I've seen videos of even of Prime Minister of Britain being pelted with eggs. Nobody was attacked. Nobody was shot. Nobody was harassed. So why should it happen in Nigeria under democracy? But the reason is simple. We are running what I describe as militocracy now. We are not running democracy. There is no democracy in Nigeria. We lost democracy in 2015 when we brought somebody who was, sorry to use this word, who was a tyrant, who was a dictator then, and he has not changed. So journalists covering protest. Then another thing I want to say is that the one that like the one that happened on July 22, where that youth copper was killed, that's Precious Owolabi. The question is, why should a media house of that standard, of that status, send a youth corps member on that very important assignment? Somebody who
probably was not the only person assigned to cover
even if he was
as a youth corps member,
he
may have been part of a team.
Even if he was not the only person, even if he was not the only person, you won't, if you are a general in the army and you have a war to prosecute, a major war, you won't send somebody you just enlisted into the army 2 weeks ago.
Well, on that note, Lere, we'll take a short break and then we'll come back to you and the conversation will continue.
Welcome back to the program. Lere Olayinka, a professional journalist, is still here with us on the program discussing a matter of issues. Thank you for still being here. Now, I'd like to take us into the protection that journalists have under the law in Nigeria and that thin line between freedom of speech and unlawful behavior. Where can we say that that thin line is? Or in your opinion, where is that thin line between freedom of speech and unlawful behavior?
There's no thin line. There should not be thin line. The only thin line that we can begin to talk about is when I go out of my way, when I go beyond my bound, there are provisions, there is law of defamation, there is law of libel. So if I say whatever you don't like here, you go to court and it's a civil matter. There's no criminal libel. There's no criminal defamation. There's no criminal slander. There's none. The only one that I'm aware of is law of sedition.
Which is an archaic law.
Which is an archaic law.
By the British. Even the British have reviewed it.
The law of sedition, I remember a case that was determined by Justice Olatawura then. Case involving, I think, Atonwanko or something. I can remember Atonwanko matter. That the judge said it clearly that if you are a government, you are a public officer, you are a public person, your life should be like an open book that people can read. You cannot hide on. So if you say anything that is against the law, then what should be done is to you also use the law against you, not that you now choose to employ stuffs that are alien to the law, has been done now. And it happened in 1984-85. It happened then when this same person was military head of state. It happened then. It happened, I remember the case of, I think, Ndukwa Irabo, the Decree 4 or whatever, Decree 4 mattered stuff and all that. It happened then. It is happening now. We are talking about journalists that were involved in coverage of protests, that had issues, that got shot, died in the process. We are not talking about journalists that have been arrested, people that have been arrested, because the term journalism is just because the center of information cannot accommodate everybody. That is why we now have some people that will say, okay, they are professional journalists or whatever. By law, all of us are entitled to speak. All of us are entitled to hear our opinion, whether you are a journalist or you are not. In the history of journalism, I can't remember the person's name now. I know of somebody then who was writing newspaper longhand. The man would just pick paper like
one. Referring to the book by Fred Omu.
Fred Omu, yeah. History of journalism, Nigerian media and whatever. So the man would just pick paper, use biro to write. If he's able to write like 20 sheets, and he takes it out and begin to sell, and people were buying then. So, and let me also say it here, people who pioneer journalism in this country were not trained as journalists, and that is why today most of the people that are into journalism in this country are not also trained as journalists. Most of them got trained on the job. Most people on the job, and that is why you cannot really say, oh, because before you can be a journalist, this and this and this are what you must do. Because we started like all of us can hear our opinion. The center of information cannot accommodate us, so some people just feel we are journalists. So the issue here is that whether you are a journalist or you are not a journalist, the Constitution of this country guarantees your right to freedom of expression.
Section 39 of the Constitution. But let me take you back to what you said earlier on about revolution now. I think it was Tundu that asked the question, but you launch an attack against Sowore. I don't think that that was our expectation, although I'm not a mind reader. But you've said what you wanted to say about Sowore, but how about the idea of revolution itself, as described, and how the government has responded? And don't forget the fact that the people behind revolution now, it's not just Sowore alone, it's just the leader. They're talking about specific things. They're talking about better governance. They are talking about the implementation of the national minimum wage. They are talking about, good governance, review of the constitution, specific issues that they say, form the focus of their protest. So at the level of principle, not personality, what are your thoughts about this call for change?
The question I want to ask is this. All of those issues, were they not there before the 2019 general elections? Were those issues not there before the presidential election? Did Sowore raise those issues then? He did not. He said, He did. No.
He did.
I am not disagreeing with the fact that I said it, that Nigeria is in trouble. Nobody is safe. We are being governed by people who are taking us for a ride, who will tell us something yesterday and come back tomorrow to tell us another thing. We are being governed by people who have never been truthful. And they did not start being untruthful today. This person governed this country before. I was like a little above 10 years then. I saw him as a president. I experienced him as a president. The man left office in 1985. He did not go to school. He did not do any business, meaning that he did not gain academic knowledge. He did not gain business knowledge. He did not socialize. Our president, after leaving office, did not, up to today, he does not have friends beyond Daura and business. Kaduna.
The president runs a ranch.
He did business. He has a ranch. He did business, and the business did not improve. That person failed to improve, to develop himself economically. He could not improve himself economically. And you now brought that person to come and improve the economy of a whole nation. He had 150 cows in 2007, 2003. 2007, he had 150. 2011, he had 150. That person said he left office. He left office as president, having been governor of Northeastern State of Nigeria, having been minister of petroleum, having been president, having been chairman of PTF.
I hope you'll be able to prove all these claims.
Absolutely.
Because these are claims.
It's
a fact. It's a fact. He was president, he was head of state. He plotted coup, he truncated democracy, he became head of state. The government became legal. Then the man now left office and he was chairman of PTF, in charge of Petroleum Trust Fund. And the person now came back to tell Nigerians that he is poor, he had no money. That is enough for Nigerians to run away from him. That is enough for people like Sowore to run away from him. They did not. Because when you cannot improve yourself, your own economy, you can never ever improve the economy of a nation. When you cannot provide security for yourself. 2 days ago, on Monday, 38 people were abducted in Katsina, the home state of our president.
No, but Lere, the question was not about President Buhari.
Exactly.
The question was about the idea of change and protest.
The idea of change, and protest. I'm justifying why there should be change. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you that the idea of change is justifiable. The idea of revolution is justifiable. They have come to tell us that using the word revolution is treasonable. I don't know.
But I thought you said you were against the Revolution Now movement.
I said I am against the person of Sowore.
But we didn't ask you about him. We asked you about Revolution Now.
I said I am against the person, those who call for that revolution now. I said I am against them, and I'm still against them now because they lack moral right to speak. When you bring armed robber to your house and that armed robber now end up stealing your property, and you now run to the top of your roof and now start shouting, Nigerians, so come and rescue me from this armed robber.
So he doesn't have the rights as a citizen that everyone else has to protest because you don't like him?
He doesn't have the moral. He has constitutional right, but he lacked moral right. Because he was among those who brought this person. He knew. You see, if there was no history, if there was no antecedent, if we never witnessed a Buhari before, you can pardon people. You can excuse people. You witnessed him. You saw him. You saw him when he was head of state. You saw what happened. And that this person was campaigning to you. He was making mistakes. He was calling his party All Progressive Confidence. He was calling INEC, Independent Nigeria Electoral Commission. He was calling Imo State, Igbo State. We saw it. And people like Sowore still say, oh, he must be president. He's not president. Hey, they should enjoy this change now. That is my own. Me, I am in my house. I am not joining any revolution. Whatever revolution I'm doing, I can be doing it on my own.
So then he doesn't have the right to change his mind. What about all the people that have cross-carpeted between APC and PDP? Isn't that the exact same thing? It is the same
opinion that I have about them.
But they still have rights as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, regardless of how you feel about them.
I also have right to feel the same I'm feeling about them.
Yeah, but that does not overrule their human rights and their citizens' rights.
I also have right to feel the way I'm feeling.
Interesting.
It is my personal right. It constitution guarantees it to feel the way I'm feeling. I can look at you now, so I say you are beautiful. I can also say you are not beautiful. It is my right.
Absolutely.
So on this one,
she is beautiful.
Thank you,
She's beautiful.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Maybe if you remove your glasses,
it depends on what you are looking at. It depends on also what I'm looking. I might look at her.
Anyway, quickly before we wrap this off, we're running out of time. Are you very optimistic about the petition by the PDP and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar at the tribunal?
Let me say
we have just 20 seconds.
Let me say this clearly. As a Nigerian, as a believer in God, because the affair of a nation, the affair of this country is in the hands of God. I'm optimistic. But on the system, as it is now, I am not.
Well, thank you very much, Lere Olayinka. You know, we've enjoyed this conversation very much. Thank you.